Welcome back. 412-575-2600. That is the number on the Bordas and Bordas hotline. Give us a call. We're taking some phone calls. Also taking your tweets at Josh Taylor HD. Josh Taylor, Tim Benz here. And Tim, one more thing I want to talk about before we start taking some calls. We mentioned the Steelers run game. You wrote a piece about it for the Trib during the week. I want to get to the passing game because there's something that kind of goes hand in hand here. You talked about the differential between the run game and the pass game. Well, Ben Roethlisberger, during the course of the week after he got to camp, he said something along the lines of, I'd rather throw 5 times and lose than throw, throw for 5 yards and lose than throw for 500 yards and win. And that kind of makes the suggestion that he might be more willing to dial back from the high number of attempts that he's had over the past several years.
I think he thinks he believes that, but I don't think he believes that. I think in his heart, yes, he would always sacrifice the stats for the wins, but I also think in his heart, Ben thinks that him throwing the football is the best way to win the football game, and I don't know how you divorce those two. I don't know how you get those two prongs, to weave and intersect accordingly. He has a lot of autonomy at the line of scrimmage. He has a lot of authority at the line of scrimmage, and if Ben wants to say that and put it into practice, then if there's a 50-50 look from the defense as to whether or not they should run or throw, maybe you should stick with the run more often.
We will see with that. And it does kind of speak to a couple different things. Now, if you told me that, if I heard that from him maybe a year 3, year 4 of his career, it wouldn't surprise me as much because he didn't throw with that kind of frequency earlier in his career. That didn't really happen until after Mike Tomlin showed up, after Todd Haley became his offensive coordinator. Then you started seeing the high passing totals, and I should say Bruce Arians first. Then Todd Haley, and now Randy Fichtner. That's when those high totals started.
Right. And some people are saying you're going to see fewer risky passes from Roethlisberger because he's not going to feel as forced to force the ball into double coverage because AB is gone. Ben Roethlisberger is still going to force some throws, even though all of his forced throws were not to Antonio Brown.
Exactly. Thank you.
Antonio Brown was good enough to get away from double coverage, and when the ball was forced to him, he was also good enough to make catches in double coverage.
He made a lot of catches he wasn't supposed to make.
Right.
On balls that shouldn't have been thrown to him.
So let's kind of keep that in mind when we're doing the hypotheticals here.
I think you're absolutely right. Let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to Josiah in San Antonio. Josiah, you're on the Nightly Sports Call.
Hey, Josh. Hey, Tim.
Hey.
Just want to say my condolences to Calvin Hall and his family, but I had a question.
Yes.
When the Raiders traded that pick when we got Mason Rudolph, we swapped it out for Martavis Bryant, I was under the assumption that Mason Rudolph was like the better quarterback after Ben when he retires. So is this a knock on Mason Rudolph, or what do you think that plays out, the second quarterback after Ben retires?
I've gotten this question before, and honestly, I have the same answer that I got it the first time. It comes down to what Randy Fichtner said, and he talked about this during minicamp. He views the second quarterback position as a position that's always in competition. He's not going to walk in and say, this guy's a number 2 and this guy's a number 3. He's going to say whichever guy's better at that time is going to be the number 2. So it's not necessarily slated for just Mason Rudolph. It's not necessarily just slated for Josh Dobbs. As of right now, it's an open competition. So if we're assuming that Ben plays through all 3 remaining years now of his contract, are we looking 3 years down the road when the OC is already saying, you know what, even in this particular moment, it's a fluid situation?
Yeah, I don't see Ben getting extended at all related to Mason Rudolph as a rookie.
I think it's just the situation of him being the number 2. But even so, when your offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach says, hey, it's going to be a competition for the number 2 guy, 3 years down the road, I don't think that's even in
I think
focus right now.
From my point of view, the greater fault is if you were at all thinking that Roethlisberger was going to play for another 3 years, then why, when you had Landry Jones, do you spend a third-round pick on a quarterback you hope never plays? I don't think it's an indictment on Mason Rudolph so much as it might be an indictment on the strategy of that pick there, unless they are really buffering themselves and concerned that Roethlisberger hurt early in a season. I mean, do you want to give the reins to Josh Dobbs? You want to give the reins to Mason Rudolph? You probably are more inclined to say Mason Rudolph with a year under his belt now.
You'd probably think that, but at the same time, even if you do have Ben staying longer than expected, it never hurts to have an insurance policy because let's remind ourselves, that's how Ben got his start in the league because Tommy Maddox got hurt. He gets inserted as a rookie, and the rest is history.
There you have it. Josh Taylor just said that Ben Roethlisberger is in his Tommy Maddox year.
I did not say that.
Rudolph will be the starter.
Did not say that. Did not say that. Thank you for starting that rumor, though. Will in McKees Rocks, you're on the Nightly Sports Call.
Hey, guys. How are you this evening?
Good. How are you?
Good. I wanted to talk Pirates with you if I could, please.
Go for it.
I wanted to ask you both, now, since the All-Star break, with this utter collapse and the way things are looking, it doesn't look like it's going to get any better anytime soon. Is it time to just blow this whole thing up and trade who all is tradable?
Yeah, but is that
Not a bad
blowing it
idea.
up? I mean, like, to me, getting rid of Vasquez is blowing it up.
Vasquez, Marte, that's blowing it up.
Yeah, and I don't think that this year plays into the strategy of getting rid of Vasquez.
Right.
That's an awful short-sighted thing to do given the contract that he's on. And people have to remember that when we do the analysis of the trade deadline, what the Pirates may or may not do. They love themselves contracts.
They do.
And they are
do.
so proud of some of these contracts that they've gotten guys on. Like Neil Huntington takes a great deal of pride in the numbers that he's gotten from Marte and Polanco and Vasquez, like
Andrew McCutchen.
and they see this as a major point of achievement based on what their financial structure is. So that's like giving themselves a major defeat for what had otherwise in their minds been a major victory. So that's why I think they're really less than inclined to give up Vasquez. Now, one thing. The two catching prospects that the Dodgers have in the mix.
Now you got an
if
interesting
you listen to
scenario.
the game broadcast tonight, all they were talking about, oh, Jacob Stallings is the next Johnny Bench. And, it's like, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but they might be exaggerating how good Jacob Stallings is. And if they're doing that, then that suggests to me that there's way more of a competition for that job after everything we heard about Elias Diaz when he was coming up through the ranks.
I think that's fair. It does also stand the reason, and I've talked about this for weeks now. If you're going to move a guy like Vasquez, as good as he is, with the repertoire that he is, with that contract, that's a fraction of what you're going to pay the top line guys in the open market. You better get everything you ask for and maybe even some extra stuff to sweeten the deal. It better be a deal that's so ridiculous that Neil Huntington can't hang up the phone.
Yeah,
It has to
Marte
be
and
something that's
Vasquez are the only guys really that define to me blowing it up.
I would have to agree. Let's take another break. Answer some phone calls when we come back. Stick around.